Hey, what's up, Musers? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to go over the new update to the Muse Motion widget. It is now using the GreenSock animation platform for the animation engine. So there's a few different widget options, and there's actually more you can do with it. So the Muse Motion, you can rotate, scale, skew, and translate any element on your Adobe Muse website. You can trigger the motion on load, on hover with reverse, and I'll showcase this in this tutorial, on click, or on scroll. So here we have the rotate motion, we have the scale motion, we have the skew motion, the translate is moving from one position to another, and you can combine different motions, so you can scale, translate, skew all at the same time there. Alright, so I'll go ahead and read the updates here in the widget page. So the widget now uses the GreenSock animation platform, GSAP, for the animation engine, and those guys do a really great job with animation, so I'm really happy to be adding it in this widget. This widget is kind of a lighter form of the Muse Motion 2 widget, because the Muse Motion 2 is using GSAP as well. But if you just wanted to add, a few kind of simple animations, I'd recommend the Muse Motion widget. The Muse Motion 2 allows you to sequence animations and do a bit more with some of the motions and things like that. There's a new widget interface, there's a new widget setup, there's a new widget cover, there's a new on-scroll setup, there's the ability to add indicators for on-scroll. This allows you to see where the element will animate within the browser. There's the ability to play motion in reverse after it is finished playing forward. There's the ability to change the background color of an element. The graphic style name has been added with the widget cover to make it easy to distinguish what widget pertains to what element and motion. There's the ability to disable the motion at a certain breakpoint. The issue with the widgets getting taller in height on Windows computers has been fixed, and there's updated code within the widget. So this is the widget page. So in this video tutorial, I'm going to showcase where to access the widget and how to use it. So to access the widget, you simply go to museforyourshop.com. And here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. The Muse Motion widget is right down here, Muse Motion, and here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Here are the features included, a few of the widget options, and the preview page as well. And the community section down here if you had any questions about the widget. And after this video is done, I'll be placing the video here as well. Alright, so I'll go ahead and showcase how to use the widget. Just place this here. So here I'm in Adobe Muse. So the first thing I want to do is go into the library panel. When you first get the zip folder, it comes in a zip folder. You just unzip the zip folder and then double click the .mulib file to install the widget. So here I'll go into the library panel. If you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. And here I'll type in Muse Motion. And we have a few widgets here, so I'll select the Muse Motion widget 1.1. That's the new update, it's now 1.1. So the first thing I want to do is click, hold, and drag the Add First widget here, and I want to place it to the top of my Adobe Muse website right there, just like that. And then I'll bring in the Muse Motion widget. So with the first one, there was an initial and additional. It's no longer that way. You just need to place the Add First, and then if you wanted multiple motions, just copy and paste this widget and change the graphic style name, and I'll go over that in a second. Alright, so now we have the widget placed into Adobe Muse. So here we have instance number. In most cases, you can leave the instance number the same. It's only if you're changing some of these options where you'll want to change the instance number for the different motions. But here we have the graphic style name, and if you notice, within the widget, it now says GS, which stands for graphic style, and then the name of the graphic style. So the graphic style is Motion 1, and we need the graphic style name because we need to apply the graphic style name to the element that we want to apply the motion to. So for instance, I'll go into my Finder, and I'll just grab some icons. Let's grab a smoothie, actually. I have some smoothie icons here, and frosted coffee. I love frappuccinos, so we'll place that in there. And I'll just resize it a bit to, let's say 150. That's a bit big, maybe 100, just like that. So now we have this icon of this kind of frappuccino here. So what I want to do here is click on the icon, and go to my graphic styles panel here. And here I'll create a new graphic style by clicking on this button here. And it says create a new style from the attributes applied. So I'll click on this button. And then here I want to double click on style. And I want to give it the graphic style name Motion 1. Because that's the graphic style name that is in the widget. It's called Motion 1 there. So that's all we have to do is apply the graphic style name to the element that we want to apply the motion to. So now if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, nothing happens, and that is because we haven't assigned any of the motions. We haven't assigned, as you can see, we can rotate, scale, skew X, skew Y, translate X, translate Y, or change the background color. For this one, I want to rotate it, so I'll select Rotate, click the drop down, and then here I want to check Enable Rotate. This is very important. You want to make sure that Enable Rotate is checked so that the widget knows to apply that animation to the element. And then for the animation start, we could say to or from. If it's from, it'll start from that initial position. If it's to, it'll go to the end position. And I'll showcase this as a better example. So here for the rotation amount, I'll say 360. So I want the element to rotate 360 degrees. So now if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we can see that element rotates 360 degrees. Now, a few things we can do with this motion. We can enable reverse play. We can do continuous play on hover. We can add a delay. We can add a repeat delay, and change the time scale. So here in the widget options, I wrote to have the motion infinitely repeat, set the repeat option to -1. So here in the repeat option, right here, if I set this to -1, we're going to see the motion infinitely repeat. Okay, and then it plays in reverse. The reason it plays forward and then plays backwards is because in the widget options, we have the option enable reverse play checked. So it plays forward and then it plays backwards. If we uncheck enable reverse play, it'll just play forward and then it'll repeat again forward, just like that. So let's say we have the rotation set to from, it'll play in reverse because it's gonna animate from 360 back to 0. So let's preview that. So we can see it plays in reverse. So just think of it, it's animating from the end position back to the original position. If it's going to the motion, it's gonna animate from the original position to the final position. Okay, so I'll change that back to 2 because I want it to animate from the original position to 360. So here I'll say 2. And then the transform origin, you can rotate in degrees or radians. The transform origin, for this, in the documentation, I've actually placed a graph. So the transform origin is kind of like if you're looking at a graph, 50-50 is in the center of the graph. Excuse me, yeah, 50-50 is the center. 0, 0, 0 is the top left. So let's say you had 0 on the x-axis, it's like 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. If you had, let's say, 0 on the x-axis and 100 on the y, it would be 0 here, and then on the y-axis, it's vertical, it would be at the bottom. So it would be in the lower left-hand corner. If you had 100, 0, it would be 100 on the horizontal axis, which is x, which would be here, and if there was 0 on the y-axis, it would stay at the top. So it would be in the upper right-hand corner. And if you had 100, 100, it would be 100 on the horizontal axis and 100 on the y-axis. So it would be in the lower right-hand corner. So just picture like a graph, 50-50 is in the center. You could have 0, 0, which is the upper right-hand corner. 100, 100 is the lower right-hand corner. So if you want to just picture it that way, it might be helpful. And there is a graph in the documentation section. So if I say 0, 0, for instance, the rotation is going to start from the position from the upper left-hand corner, and then it's going to rotate from that upper left-hand corner. So if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we can see, picture like the element rotating from the upper left-hand corner. So it's rotating from that position rather than the center. Okay. Hopefully that was clear. If you have any questions about that, let me know. Okay, and then the duration, you can set how long you want the motion to occur for. can say 6. If I say 6, it's going to be a bit slower. So we can see it's rotating a lot slower. And I changed the transform origin to 50/50. Okay, and rotate. Then delay, if I want to set a delay, let's say I set a delay for 2 seconds, and I preview. It's going to wait 2 seconds, and then it's going to rotate, just like that. So you might notice that some of these options within each motion are similar to the motion up here. This motion controls the overall motion. You can have more specified motion within each specific motion. So these are more specified to the rotation motion, but if you wanted to apply certain settings to the overall motion, if there was multiple motions, you could do that here in the first section here and change these options as well. Okay, so we went over delay. Repeat, you could have infinite repeat for this motion as well by setting to -1, or setting how many times you'd like the element to repeat or the motion to repeat. I'm going to say 0 there, and you can have a repeat delay. So if I had, actually this might be a good example. So if I said repeat 2 times, I'm going to take the delay off, and duration I'll say 2 seconds. I want it to wait 2 seconds before it repeats again. So it'll play the motion, wait 2 seconds, repeat again, wait 2 seconds, and then repeat again. So let's see how that looks. So it plays, waits 2 seconds, and then it plays again, waits 2 seconds, and then it plays one more time, and then stops. It should stop. Don't know why I played again there. I have it repeating infinitely here, so let me set that to 0, and let's try that one more time just to make sure that, yeah, so it plays once, 2 seconds, plays again, 2 seconds, plays one more time, 2 seconds. All right, perfect. And then it stops. So if it doesn't do exactly that, just make sure that some of these options, like you don't have infinite playing here in this option here. Okay. Then you have a few easing options, and you can change the easing type as well. The auto alpha is kind of like opacity. We have the animation start set to 2. And for the auto alpha, it goes to the opacity of 1. If we were to set this to 0, it would actually fade out, because going from an opacity of 1 or an auto alpha of 1 to an auto alpha of 0, which is not visible. So I'll preview, and we can see it fades out, just like that. And then it fades in and then fades out. So let's set the auto alpha to 1. If I set the motion to from, and I set this to 0, it would go from 0 to 1. So it'll fade in. So we see it fades in. So if it's set from 0 to 1, or from 0, it has a fade in effect, which is kind of nice if you want to fade in your animations or your motions. Okay, I think I've gone over all the widget options. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I did spend quite a bit of time on this just to make sure it's understandable. I'll go back up here. Let's say for the time scale controls the timing of the overall motion. So if I set the time scale to 3, it'll play 3 times as fast. So we can see it's a bit quicker, and everything plays 3 times as fast. So no matter the time, if you change the timing within each individual motion, this top part controls the overall speed of the motion. So you do have a lot of control. Let's say you've created an animation or a motion, and you say, hey, I want to speed everything up by 3 seconds, or make it 3 times as fast. You can just change the time scale, and that will speed everything up. Again, you can set a repeat delay for all of the motions. You can set a repeat for all of the motions, and a delay for all of the motions as well. So now let me go through some of the motion starts. So you can start the motion on load, on hover. So let me preview that. We have the auto alpha set to 0, so let me change that. Rotate, we want to set it to 2, set the auto alpha to 1. And I'll preview, and when I hover, it rotates. So notice that it keeps rotating even after I hover. I move my mouse off of the element. If I were to go into the widget options and say uncheck continuous play on hover, once I leave my mouse off the element, it'll go back to the original position. as you can see, it goes back to the original position. But if I say continuous play on hover, it'll finish the motion even if I leave my mouse off of the element. Okay, and let's say we have on click or on hover with reverse. This is actually a fun one. I hover, and when I move off, it goes backwards, which is really fun. Can make for some fun motion there. And if we can do it on click, and if I click, it plays the motion. Very nice. All right, we can also do, you can click or tap. On mobile, if you tap, it'll play the motion. On scroll, this is also new within the Muse motion. So let's say I wanted to trigger the motion on scroll. I'll place it down here and I'll add some more scroll space. And I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser. So I'll scroll, and there we can see once it reaches a certain point in the browser, it animates there. So let's say we want to see the triggers. We want to know exactly where it's gonna have the motion. We could add indicators here. So there's this add indicators option that helps us see where the motion is gonna trigger. So here we have the trigger. It says trigger 1, and it's in the middle of the browser because it's set to the on scroll offset from the top is set to 0.5, which is like 50%, so it's the middle of the browser. If it was set to 0, it would be the top of the browser, and 1 would be the bottom. So anything in between is kind of the location within the browser. You can think of 0, think of it as in percentages. So 0 is the top, and 1 is like 100% or 100 or the bottom of the browser there. Hopefully that made sense. So here we have the trigger, and here we have the start position. So here, once the start reaches the trigger, the motion is going to occur, just like that, and goes back. So once it enters into this area, the motion is going to play, just like that. So you can see where it's going to trigger on scroll as you're designing your website. You can set the on-scroll duration so there's more space between between the start and end position. So now there's 500 pixels between here and here, and the motion has more room to kind of play in there. All right. So that's the on-scroll. You can repeat the motion on scroll or not, so it only plays once. Once you trigger it, it'll play once. Okay. Let me close some of these tabs here. All right, so I've gone over all of the widget options, and I'm just gonna do on load for now, and I'll place it at the top. So you have rotate, scale. You can scale to make it larger or smaller. 0 makes it not visible. 1 is the default size of the element. Anything greater than 1 will scale the image up. Anything less than 1 will scale the image down. So if I enable scale, it's going to actually disappear. See, because it went to 0. 1 is the default size, so it went from 1 to 0, and 0 is like 0. Like it's no size. You can't see it. But if I were to say, or actually let's have a repeat. If I were to say -1, we're gonna see that for the repeat, I set it to -1, so it's gonna keep doing an interesting just scaling and then scaling out scaling from 1 to 0. So it has this interesting scaling out effect, kind of dizzying, but you can do interesting motions with it. So let me take the repeat off here and let's set the time scale to 1. So let's make it larger. Let's say I were to scale to 2. So it rotates and then scales bigger. Looks cool. There we go. Perfect. And let's say we wanted to skew the element. Skew is kind of like rotating it at an angle. So I'm going to enable skew X at 360 and enable skew Y at 360. And we're going to see it kind of skew. So we can see it kind of flips, and skewing is kind of like that, kind of rotating the element at a certain angle. And let me uncheck enable rotate here, so we don't have the rotation. You can move it from one position to another, which is the translate X. So translate X will move it on the horizontal axis. So I'll click enable translate X and I'll move it to 300 pixels. So I'll say 300. So it's going to move from its original position to 300 pixels. And there it goes. Okay. You can also translate Y, which is on the Y axis, which is vertically. So if I go into translate Y, enable translate Y, and I say 300, it's going to move right 300 and down 300. So it's going to move diagonally towards those points, because I have translate X enabled and translate Y enabled. So we can see it moves down diagonally. Okay. And then background color, we can enable a background color and select the background color. So then this element will have a blue background color. So I'll go to File, Preview in the browser, and we can see it now has a blue background color there. So you can change the background color if you'd like. If I were to add a background color initially to, let's say green here, we're going to see it go from green to blue. And I'll uncheck enable translate X and enable translate Y so it doesn't move, and then I'll preview in the browser. There we go. And I'll take off the skew as well. I'll just uncheck it here. So as we can see, we can have multiple animations, apply multiple animations to the element, just like that. Okay, and the last option is breakpoint. So you can disable the animation at a certain breakpoint. So I'm going to check off disable at breakpoint. So let's say on a mobile device you don't want any motion or animation. You can just click disable at breakpoint, and once the breakpoint is less than 480, those motions will not play. So let me go to File, Preview Page in browser. We can see the motion plays. If I make the breakpoint 480 or less and I click refresh, there's no motion on that element. So on smaller devices, once it loads, the motion will not play. If we have it playing initially, let me have this infinitely repeat so we can see it better. Set it to -1. Let me go to File, Preview Page in browser. So at first, if the motion is playing and we do make it smaller, it'll continue playing because the motion started playing. But if we reload or refresh, it stops playing because we set for the motion to not play when it's 480 pixels or less, when the browser width is 480 pixels or less. All right, so I think I've covered all of the widget options. I know that was a lot of information, but I did want to go over all of the different widget options here. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. To get access to this widget, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. The Muse Motion widget is right here, and here you can click add to cart to purchase individually. Again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Here are the features included, a few of the widget options, the preview page, so you can see some of the motions, and the video will be here once it's done, and the community section as well if you had any questions about the widget. Alright, so that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.